Put Me in Coach podcast. All right, halftime, halfway through the year. I want to take a victory lap with you. All right? Guys, like, comment, subscribe if you're into any one of the four AFC South teams we're going to discuss. But, and this is all subject to change. I always say this. I can't take a full season victory lap until we're at week 17. We've seen insane changes in playoff seeding and all that stuff in the second half of the year. But so far, through halfway point, we look to be shaking out with a lot of our AFC South predictions pretty accurately. I want to start with kind of earlier this offseason, we made a predictions video for each of us kind of ranking our AFC South teams. And you and I went back and forth a lot on the Colts versus the Jaguars winning the division. But one thing that we really both agreed on this offseason, that we took a ton of arrows. We got like a lot of hate comments on this for saying this, but we both felt very strongly that the Houston Texans were not winning this division this year. I think I leaned Jacksonville kind of pulling off an upset. You leaned Indianapolis kind of getting it together with Daniel Jones. I think you're more right than I am so far, so I give you credit for that. So far, the Indianapolis Colts are the best team in the NFL as it stands today. Yeah. And the Jacksonville Jaguars, despite the loss last week against the Rams, are playing a lot better this year so far than they played at any point last year under Doug Peterson. Mm-hmm. But there is... And I also did say as well that I felt like Brian Callahan was the hottest candidate to be fired early this year, because I did truly feel like he was the worst head coach in the NFL by a lot. You don't end up with the worst offense, defense, and somehow special teams in the same year. It wasn't all Will Levis. You're seeing that again this year. He's awful.
Will Levis might be good fully. We don't know.
Yeah, justice for Will Levis, honestly. Yeah. But the big team that we circled were the Houston Texans. And a lot of people in our comments were like, you're crazy. The Colts are ass. The Jaguars are ass. This is clearly the best team in the division. And you and I spoke at length about a couple of key themes with the Texans that, before I pass it to you, I kind of want to touch on, because I think this was the big smoking gun in the AFC South. Yeah. They fired Bobby Slowick last year, and a lot of people felt like that was, to bring in Nick Caley from the Rams was going to be this big upgrade at OC. And you and I both said that Bobby Slowick was a sacrificial lamb for a situation that was really caused by Nick Caserio with not building the right offensive line. And the other two components to that are kind of tied to the offense, because this is all an offensive thing, right? Let's be honest. We both fuck with this defense. It's nice. But they shuffled the deck in the offensive line. They really moved all these pieces around and shuffled what was a bad O-line last year completely. And the shuffling in and of itself was enough for a lot of Texans believers to be like, see, they revamped the O-line. They changed the O-line. But you and I both pointed out, I think accurately, that all of the upgrades they made on the O-line were not upgrades. They were like downgrades. They shuffled their O-line into a worse situation. I told you, I don't think we're going to see Joe Mixon this year. And so far, we have not seen Joe Mixon. Nick Chubb is a shell of what he used to be. They can't run the football. And so far, their best running back is rookie Woody Marks. And that's no shot at Woody Marks. I think Woody Marks has talent, but he's not Ashton Genty. We were not expecting Woody Marks to be the guy to win. I think CJ's been incredibly underwhelming. I love CJ. It's not a shot, but I think he's been really underwhelming. I think it's mostly offensive line, but Nico Collins has been underwhelming. This entire offensive ecosystem is really bad, and I think Nick Caley has been a really bad OC so far with the play calling and just not using the right personnel in the right situations. So the victory lap of this video is kind of the AFC South in general, the way that we saw it shaking out versus the way other people saw it shaking out. And I want to get your thoughts on not only the Texans, but the Colts and the Jags, and we go back and forth about some of these things, because I don't think that either of us felt like the Colts would be this good, but we both like them more than the Texans. We both like the Jags more than the Texans, and so far it seems to be playing that way.
Yeah, I mean, Texans, you kind of touched on all of it. It was real simple to me. That offense sucked. On paper, it was not good. No good offensive line, no good running backs, one good receiver. I don't know. I'm not going to overthink it. And a new OC who we have no idea about, quarterback who I do like CJ. I think he's talented, but you can only do so much if you don't have the rest of it. As for the other teams, I still have this just like delusional faith in Trevor Lawrence. I don't know why. I think we know what he is. He's pretty middle of the pack, but like, you know what? I'm gonna ride with sunshine forever.
He still has his moments though.
He does have his moments, and we really liked the youth that was coming into that team. We really liked the fact that all the coaching staff was like our age, frankly, and it's worked out. It's worked out. They've played a lot better this year. And I don't think anybody saw Brian Thomas Jr. like having the Monstars take away his abilities. I told you that Travis Hunter was not going to be a world beater. He's not. But we did say this defense was being slept on like crazy, and the defense is definitely better. Offensive line's better. Trevor's playing more smooth. And when they're on, man, they're hard to beat, right? Like you see them going toe to toe with Kansas City a few weeks ago, but then like they're off their game and the Rams murder them, and you're like, well, okay, what are you guys? So I think at this point we can pretty confidently say they're not going to win the division, but I do think they're going to sneak into the playoffs. Currently they're an 8 seed right now. I think they can get in, but man, who saw this coming with Indianapolis? This is crazy.
Kind of just you, honestly, in terms of people I know. I mean, you're the only one I know who picked them initially.
The thing is like, okay, preseason when we did our video, I was like, my gut was just telling me, I'm like, I just feel like the Colts are going to be the best team, because I looked around and I'm like, this team in itself has the most talent. They have the best offensive line in the division. It's not close. They have the best running back in the division. It's not close. I mean, I guess I wouldn't say they have the best wide receiving core, because their high end is lower than most, but I feel like they got like 3 B minuses opposed to like 1 A plus and then like 2 C's. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, well,
like,
and they also added Tyler Warren, who's
okay. So I was huge on Tyler Warren. I mean, I've been talking about this kid for like a year now. Right. I literally laughed out loud when the Bears took Colson Loveland, and that's no shot to Colson Loveland. It was so obvious that Tyler Warren was the guy.
That's aged appropriately though. Like it's not even.
He was the best tight end. It was like, I don't know why we're overthinking this. So you have Tyler Warren, who's out. He's basically wide receiver 1. I think currently he's technically wide receiver 2. He's got like, he hasn't out targeted. I think Michael Pittman, I think, is the only one on the team who's getting more targets than him. But it's neck and neck. I mean, it's like if Warren has like 56 targets throughout the year, I think Pittman has like 59. Hats off to Shane Steichen, man. This is so cool to watch. Daniel Jones, he was cast off, right? Danny Dimes, he's a bust. He's trash. Turns out, what do I say all the time? You can't overcome bad ownership. Look at what happened. Danny Jones leaves Giants. They still suck ass, by the way. They're terrible.
Again,
even with the talent they have on that defense, they still suck. It doesn't help that your best player tears his ACL in week 3, and then your best running back literally loses his foot. But that's a conversation for a different day. Daniel Jones goes from the Giants to the Vikings. Admittedly says, I learned how to really be a quarterback with Kevin O'Connell. Comes over to Shane Steichen, who we've seen, work absolute wonders with Jalen Hurts. Obviously went to the Super Bowl, and then got 9 wins out of Gardner Minshew. Got 8 wins out of Anthony Richardson, who's terrible at the game of football, by the way. Right. And then gets a guy like Daniel Jones, who is, I mean, let's be honest, like he's pretty like mediocre, right? I mean, coming in, it's like, yeah, he's fine, right? He's a bridge, he's a placeholder. This guy is playing like prime Peyton Manning right now, and it's so cool to watch. Go ahead.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I honestly, like, mediocre is overselling it. What he's been the last few years in New York,
he's been
for the most part. He's been
kind of trash.
Bad, kind of.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
It's a hell of a turnaround, man.
It's so cool to see. And then on top of that, you got Jonathan Taylor back, who's hooping. I mean, best running back in the league, bar none, not close.
Yeah, easily.
Bar none, not close.
O-line is blocking better than they did last year.
They got rid of those. They fleeced the Vikings. They said, yeah, you guys go. You guys take those guys over there. It's fine. We'll be okay. And they're like, oh, we took your best offensive line. They signed with us. Hey, guess what? No, you didn't. those guys are bums, and we knew it. You see how Quentin Nelson didn't walk out of the door?
You see this sometimes with certain teams, right? Like we always feel like Pittsburgh has the next group of wide receivers. That's changed the last few years, but back in the 2010s, we've seen during the Belichick era with like defensive backs. They always drafted defensive backs so well when Bill was there. There's just something about Chris Ballard, an offensive lineman. He just they always have the right offensive lineman in the building.
Really it's really
and
cool.
To give you credit, you kind of alluded to this during the preseason where you were like, I don't know that I want the offensive lineman that Andy Reid is letting walk, or Chris Ballard and the Colts are letting walk, right? Like, be careful with that. And I give you a lot of credit, man. And you were totally spot on with that take, because I think it's been a massive downgrade.
What's so funny is I really just thought, when I'm looking around the landscape, I'm like, okay, do I trust Trevor Lawrence in a new staff? Like, not really. Do I trust CJ Stroud with no other offensive pieces? Not really. Do I trust the Titans in general? Of course not. So do I trust Shane Steichen? Yes. Do I trust this defense enough? Yeah. Do I trust this offense? Yeah. If you can get 8 wins out of Anthony Richardson, surely you can get 10 out of Daniel Jones. And that's all it takes to win this division. The last 2 years, it's been a 10-win team. Jaguars won it a couple years ago, 10 wins. The Texans won it the last 2 years, I think, with 10 wins, right? So I don't know. It's one of those where I'm like, can you just win 10 games and be the team this year? And they're on pace to like win fucking 14 games, right? Like,
yeah, they're going to. They're going to.
This team is sick, and I hope for Indianapolis' sake they make a little run in the playoffs, because like I don't want this to be fool's gold, like one and done, 1 seed like Detroit was last year, where they beat up on a bunch of bad teams and then caught somebody hot. I want this to be like a genuine, like, go to the AFC Championship.
That would be my fear. I think that would be my fear if I'm a Colts fan, is that would happen. But you can't live in that reality now.
Hell no.
Right?
You just got to enjoy it while it is. I mean, fuck you.
You and I last year were texting each other every Sunday with the Lions being like, there's no team in the league better than this. And so that's, if you're an Indianapolis fan, that's where your head is right now,
100%.
As it should be. But,
yeah,
I think for me, and you're right about the Daniel Jones thing. I think that was the big miss for me, because I've watched so much Giants football. I lived in New York for years. I've followed the team closely. I've watched so much Giants football that I really just couldn't in my mind do the Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield thing with Daniel Jones the way that I think it deserved.
Yeah.
And a big part of that was, I don't think they brought him in to be their starter initially. It seemed like, from everything I was reading during camp, it was just to kind of get some pressure on Anthony Richardson of like, if we bring in this vet, can you like get it together? And when I saw that Anthony Richardson still didn't win the job, I think that was where I got cynical with the Colts. And that because I pinpoint, we talked this preseason a lot, and I was like, I like the Colts. I like the Colts. Where I got scared was when I started reading the reports that no one was separating from that job in camp, and I thought, uh-oh. Because Anthony Richardson has been horrible and Daniel Jones has been horrible. So if no one's separating, that means they're both horrible.
Yeah.
And I was just wrong. Like, it just all Danny, all we needed was an opportunity. All he needed was an opportunity. And it's been amazing. And I think the last couple of weeks have put a huge damper on the Jaguars, but this is what we talked about. Like, we talked about them being a fringe playoff team. That's exactly what they are. And they just had a bye last week. I don't think there could be a better time for a bye for that team.
They needed it.
We saw Travis Hunter break out. Can we get this defense, recalibrated? Can we get, Trayvon Walker healthy?
Yeah.
Can we get Brian Thomas Jr.'s head back into it, or trade him away if that's what you guys are really thinking about doing, despite the reports? But I do think they will be a frisky team as well. And look, man, I mean, I know that we haven't talked about the Titans at all so far this year, and it's because I don't like pouring dirt on fan bases when their teams are horrible. But I beat the drum all off season that they should not have brought Callahan back, and it was because it wasn't just a roster issue, although that's a huge problem. I want to give my evaluation on Cam Ward, but I'm just not going to this year. I've told myself, I've watched the Titans play a bunch. I've seen Cam Ward look pretty good at times. I've seen him look awful, but ultimately he's working with nothing. And I have told myself that I'm going to wait until next season to say anything about Cam Ward, because what the hell is this situation the Titans are in right now?
Yeah, the worst part about the Titans is that there's as long as your GM remains, there's no hope. I mean, this is a situation of a tear down, restart, fire everybody involved, and bring in a whole new staff. And maybe they do, right? I mean, that would be your only hope. But then your new GM has to come in and bat like. I mean, he needs to go like what 5 for 7. I mean, truly, you'd have to really. Right. I mean, you got to like really pimp those mid rounds, because this team has so many holes. And I don't really understand the whole like everybody's available except for Cam Ward and Jeffrey Simmons. It's like Jeffrey Simmons should 100% be. You should be like going out there and fishing for a first round for him. You know what I mean? Like, there's no sense in keeping him, right? I mean, Cam Ward, that's obvious, right? I mean, he's a rookie quarterback. You just drafted number 1 overall. Nobody's calling about Cam Ward, and if they are, they're idiots. Like, you should rightfully hang up the phone, but everybody else should be available. I don't know why Jeffrey Simmons would be off.
Yeah, especially these guys they brought in kind of last year on this very confusing like roster free agency thing. Like even Zeitler this
Ridley,
year.
Get rid of him. Zeitler.
Yeah, Ridley's been horrible, man. Yeah, Ridley, Pollard, all these guys.
Yeah, just tank. It's over.
Yeah, I mean, they're the worst team in football again, which is really tough. And my heart goes out to Titans fans. But, you know, the good news with, like, this kind of rock bottom is that at least there's pressure now to get the right coach in there. You already hired a new GM. You fired Carthon last year. So that's the good news. And I think before I let you go, I mean, where do you go from here if you're Houston? Because I do think that they were definitely the consensus division winner favorite this year. And for my money, they are soundly the third best team. I think Jacksonville is better than them.
That's really hard. I mean,
what can you do? You know,
I don't know if you fire Caserio because he's put together a really good defense. So I don't think you can do that. But like, you kind of have to just draft all offense. You know what I mean? Like, you kind of just have to take this year as an L. You got to go out there. You got to get damn near 5 new linemen. I don't know if some of those happened during free agency. They'd have to. You probably got to draft the best left tackle available just to be smart, right? 2nd or 3rd round running back is a must. And then you need to get a wide receiver too. I mean, you do. Christian Kirk can't be that. And, you know, I can't bank on what Tank Dell's going to be when he comes back. And who's old boy they drafted in the 2nd round this year?
Jaden Higgins.
Yeah, has he been any good? I haven't.
He has been the last couple of weeks, but it's taken him a minute to get on. And I think a lot of it's just been like not having Nico Collins really in there and effective and healthy. And it's hard to say. Yeah,
you got to. I mean, the first things first. You got to go get a whole new offensive line. That is like the top of the totem pole, right? Everything else you can roll with who you have if you have a great offensive line, frankly. The problem is you don't even have a good one. You have it's horrible.
Right.
You know, I don't know.
Right. Yeah. I think it's,
by the way, checking in on the Bengals defense. It wasn't the problem, guys.
Oh,
we told you that was a sacrificial firing. And wait, hold on. We're looking over at the Bengals defense. Oh, and it is still the worst in the league. And here's Lou Anarumo with the Colts, and they have 1 loss.
Gotcha. Dallas would love a word on that.
Oh, that's real, Dallas.
Yes, I mean, I'm with you. I think the Colts defense hasn't been amazing.
Just won, though. The Jets did just pull off a comeback win, putting up 40 points against the Joe Flacco-led Bengals.
That was crazy.
Oh, Cincy fans, I sympathize for you because you're so fucked.
I'm glad you brought up the Colts defense, because I do want to leave with that. I think that would be my one thing is like, it's not because of Lou Anarumo. Like their defense just hasn't been very good the last few years. This year it's been better, but I am interested to see like when they have to go up against the big dogs. Like can that defense hang? That would be my one. Because their offense,
they're young. They're a really young defense.
They are, but that's kind of my point.
Cornerback situation is still quite ugly.
Do you feel like they're a top 10 defense though? Like offense aside, like that, just defense alone. I don't think so. So that would be my one.
But they're not like bottom 10 either. They're like kind of middle of the pack. So if their offense
Lions last year.
Yeah, that's very similar.
Just
Well,
elite,
that's
hyper efficient, insane.
That's kind of what worries me.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean?
I'm saying it like it's a compliment, but really,
don't get the Chargers on as a 6-7 seed, right? Coming into your crib, and then here comes Justin Herbert and Jim Harbaugh, hot as can be.
Yeah, you never know, man. I mean, the AFC is wide open this year, and but yeah, I think the AFC South is not,
No,
and
it's not.
I think I just wanted to do a victory lap there because I mean, you and I we were both very, very anti-Texans this year, and I think that's proven so far to be pretty true. Although I don't say that like in a bragging way because like I also feel bad for Texans fans because they got their franchise quarterback.
I just want my apologies and my flowers for telling you guys that it wasn't going to be what you thought it was.
Right.
No hate. I just know how to evaluate football. I'm sorry. If you have no offensive line, it's pretty simple to suck.
Right.
You know. But
all right. On that note, guys, like, comment, subscribe, and AFC South fans, let us know where your head is. You know, are you a Jacksonville fan? Do you think there's a chance? Are you a Texans fan expecting a bounce back, or are you a Colts fan just kind of like taking it in? I'm not going to do any checks on Titans fans because I honestly like my heart goes out to you. Hopefully you got someone in your life sending you edible arrangements, and that's kind of your best bet at this point. Yeah. All right, man.
Got the team. That's my best. It's my best off.
Definitely. Stop buying merch. Stop buying tickets until they make some serious changes.
100%.
But I'll see you soon, man. We'll get on in a couple of days. We'll get some stuff out.
Sweet. Peace.
All right. Thank you.